Hi guys! So now that I've just done a walkthrough of my current Hobonichi cousin in week setups, it seems like it would be appropriate to show you my A6 Hobonichi. This was a suggestion by My Summer Touch. I'll link her channel down below, so thanks very much for that. So I use my A6 Hobonichi as a daily planner, as opposed to my weeks, which is my personal planner and wallet, and my cousin, which is my works planner. So together I have this nice little triumvirate of Hobonichis, and that makes me extremely happy, having all three of them in use for different things. So the daily planner, as many of you know, is the most recent addition to my lineup, in that for a long time I just had the cousin, and then I added the weeks as my personal planner to it, and between the two of those I was fine, or I thought I was fine, and then I realized that actually I really wanted to be able to have a daily to-do list, basically. So I thought that if you like daily planning, or you're interested in the idea of daily planning, that it might be interesting or helpful to see how I use this, although it's quite straightforward. So at the moment I have this in its adorable monster Fodori cover. I did a review on this. It's from an Etsy shop called Butterfly Notebook, which I'll link down below, and I'll link the review down below as well if you're interested. I think it's sold out at the moment, but hopefully it will be back in stock soon. I have just got another amazing cover. It's a faux leather cover, which I'm going to do a separate review on, but I love this so much that it's hard to switch out of it. So I have just the Hobonichi Avec in here. Next year I've got the full year version, so I'm looking forward to starting using that in January. I actually only started using this as my daily planner for the second installment. For the first half of the year, the other Avec, I was using it as a gratitude journal. And I have my Kaweco student pen, which I'm going to talk about more when I do a video on my different planner fountain pens, but I really love this pen. As you can see, it's a demonstrator model, so it's see-through and it's awesome. It's quite fat, but it fits in the pen loop perfectly. So with the Avec, there's a lot that I'm not using, just because I use it as a daily planner rather than as, I guess, a more main planner. This planner I think of as kind of like a satellite, in that all of my information that I need to be able to refer back to, and the forward planning and the lists and everything like that, is in these two. So this planner really only gets used to like kind of draw information from these on the day and then go through what I need to do every day. So I don't use this at all. Likewise with the month on 2 pages, I don't use it, which makes me feel a bit sad, because you know, when you have empty planner pages that you're not using, it can make you feel melancholy. So at one point I started using this, so at the end of September I started using this to note down the highlight of my day, and this was actually what I'd been using it for when it was a gratitude journal. I was either using it to note down I was using it to write the thing that I was most looking forward to that day. So, you know, basically something just to kind of get me motivated. So then I started using it for the opposite, to write down the highlight of my day, but as you can see, that did not last very long. I only did it for 3 days, and then I don't know why I just forgot about it. I think because I've just been so busy that I haven't been able to keep up with it. So I might go back to that, because I like being able to use these. I was also thinking possibly of using these the same way that I was using them when this was my gratitude journal, which was to write in like kind of the thing that I was most thankful for that day, or, you know, the thing that I was particularly happy about, as opposed to an event that had happened on the day. But I'm not sure, because at the moment this is just really functional. I just use this as a kind of emergency planner, by which I mean, if I have a particularly busy day and I start to feel really stressed and anxious, thinking like I've got all this stuff going on and I don't know when I'm going to do it, and I just want to see it all written down, it's a huge help just to be able to go through the list. So I'll show you when I started using this. I started using it in the middle of One Book July. I'd actually been using a daily planner before One Book July started, but it was in a different planner, and I decided that this would be the perfect thing for it. So I lasted about 2 weeks on, well, 2 Book July. I was using these two planners and nothing else, and then I just really missed the daily planner. So you can see this first day, was so satisfying to be able to write everything down in this nice long list. And what I will do is, and this has remained the system since I've started it, is either the night before, if I feel like the next day is already making me nervous because there's so much different stuff going on, or in the morning as a kind of incentive when I get up, because I hate mornings. So, getting to look at a planner first thing always makes you feel a bit brighter, is I'll just write down a list of everything I can think of that I have to do. Some of it will be drawn from this and this. So in my personal planner, I've said this before, so I'm sorry if you've already heard this. I put in unique events, as in things that I only have to do once in the week. So like, for example, make a video, make honey cake. That has failed several times. We've been planning to make honey cake since Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year, which is the traditional time to make honey cake, and didn't get done then, and it still hasn't happened, but we've decided we're going to do it while this like kind of Jewish holiday season is still going on. And they're like meter reading, things like that, things that like I don't have to do every day that aren't routine. So I'll check what I've got down for the day, and then sort of like decide roughly when I think I want to do it in the day. And then the same thing for this. So this is my work planner, and this is where I keep all of my detailed work notes. This is like my schedule, and then it also has to-dos. So usually what I'll do is, if I have like a sort of big work topic that I'm working on, but then I also have smaller things that I have to do, like emails, or a specific thing that I have to do, or like write a reference for someone, or anything that's not part of my big overarching project for the day, I'll put those things down here. And then on top of that, I'll also put things down that aren't written anywhere. And those are like routine things, or things that are like kind of household tasks that I don't consider sort of special enough to write down, like doing the dishes, doing the laundry, putting the clothes in the dryer, or even more basic than that, like getting dressed, taking the boys out for a walk, Tails and Mochi. Stuff that I don't really kind of feel is necessary to put in here, because it's stuff that happens every day, or like, I don't know, washing the clothes. Like I can see when the washing machine is full, like, I really should wash the clothes, but I don't have like a set routine or anything. But it's just nice on the day to know, like, okay, so I'll start off with really, really basic: get up, get dressed, brush teeth. And then if they're like kind of individual errands that I just want to get taken care of, like phone our pet insurance, or email the vet. I had to phone a jeweler to get this ring fixed. Make tea, have breakfast, all of that kind of stuff, which I would feel silly writing in here. Well, not silly, it's just that there's not a huge amount of room in here. Like the weeks is good in that it does have quite a bit of room, but this is the amount of space that you get for one day. So if I put in like, make tea, make breakfast, take the boys out, I would quickly run out of room, and I wouldn't have enough room for all of the unique tasks. So I just write down everything as I think of it in the rough order that I think I want to do it in, and then I'll just kind of make a start on it. And then after I've done those things, then I can add some more stuff. So I usually don't like map out the whole day all at once. I'll get to like the big work project, and then I'll kind of stop, because for the next few hours, if I'm just working on the big work project, there's no point in putting any more detail in here, because I map out my times for when I'm working at home on a writing project. I'll use the weekly pages in here to like kind of designate how many hours or how many half hours I'm leaving for each bit of the project that I'm doing that day. So I don't put that in here because there's no point. This is just to get an overview of like all the things that I have to remember to do for the day in roughly the right order. So as you can see, when I first started using this, it was very, very minimalistic. There were no stickers. There was just no decoration of any kind. I was just writing the list down. And there are a couple of blank days here. The blank days are either for usually it's if James is at home, because if James is at home, then he does a lot of the kind of household stuff. Like he'll take the boys out for the walk, and he usually will make the food. So that takes away that kind of thing. And then I don't have as much to do because usually I just get up and start working, or like maybe make tea, but it doesn't feel as overwhelming. Sometimes I only have a few things down because the rest of the day I was just working on like the one project and there was just no point writing any more down. But then sometimes there's a whole bunch of stuff. So like it just depends on how many individual bitty things there are in that day. So I kept on like for quite a bit of time. For all of July, there was like no decoration at all. You can see that it kind of the longest list I've ever had has been like kind of pretty much down to the bottom of this page. So this is A6. So it's not huge. And I was thinking, I might need more room than A6. But actually, because of the grids, because you have these little boxes to write in, it makes your writing quite small. So you can actually fit quite a lot on here. I don't use the timeline, by the way. There's a timeline down the left, but I don't understand this timeline. It just has never worked for me because it has... like theoretically you have a line for every hour, but it's actually only every third hour that is indicated with a number, and then the other two are just with a dot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the whole thing is so squished, just having like one line per hour, whereas in the cousin I'm used to having one line per half hour, and I find that much easier to work with. I just can't, it's like theoretically you have a 24-hour timeline on here, but I can't use it for anything, because if you have a lot of little tasks, you can't write them in the timeline. I think the idea is that maybe you would use this for appointments and then this for tasks, but because I don't use this as my main planner in that I don't write appointments in it, there's no need for that, so I just ignore the timeline. And I was putting the check boxes over it, because there's nothing more satisfying than a list with check boxes that you can tick off. So another thing about this planner is, like I mentioned, I don't put appointments in it. And that's because I only use this planner at home. So because I work a lot from home, there are, many days when I'm at home, and so I'll have like kind of home type errands to do, but then I'll also have work to do. So if I have something like, say, a Skype meeting, then I might put that on here. But if I have to go out, I wouldn't write that kind of appointment in here, because that's something that I would see either in here or in here, depending on whether it's, say, a work-related appointment or like a dentist appointment. It will be in one of these two planners. And then I'll check these and I'll have these open through the day as well. So if I'm working at home, I'll know like I have to go out at 1, and I won't put that in here. Or maybe I'll write down like go out. But, I don't need this timeline for appointments, because I only use this on a day-to-day basis, and I don't have to go back and check it, and I don't forward plan in it, because that's what these are for. So like for example, on this day it says post office, possibly co-op, but the rest of it, it's just stuff that I'm doing when I'm at home, because I don't take this out with me. And I've mentioned that before. It's because if I'm just going out locally, I just take this with me. If I'm going out to do something work related, then I take both of these with me. And so like it just would be ridiculous to carry 3 planners around with me on a daily basis. So if I'm going out, then I will rely on this, because this will have all the stuff in it that I have to do when I'm out. And the same with this. If it's something work related that I have to do, it will be in here. So there's really no need for this to go outside. This is just like for my sort of mental calmness that I have this planner. So I went on for quite a while like this, just using it to write down the daily to-dos without anything else. This is where I got the fountain pen. You can see it switches from black ink to purple ink. This is very exciting. I love this fountain pen. And then I started decorating a little tiny bit with stickers. Then I carried on that way sort of like for the rest of August, and I got a little bit more elaborate with a few more stickers. You can see here, this is already the middle of September. Everything has kind of been pretty much the same until then. I was adding a bit of washi. This is washi that I got from my historic trip to Michael's when I went to the US at the end of August. It was my first trip to Michael's, and I can't wait to go back again next time I'm in the US. So sometimes I would make 2 lists, because as you've seen, I normally didn't even get onto the second column. Like sometimes I would actually kind of write, kind of a long to do. So this is go to cinema, bring snacks. So it was really just remember to bring the snacks that I wrote that down, and that kind of extended over quite a bit of space, but usually it's only like this. So it really only takes up 1 column, and there's a separate column that I could use. if I got down to the bottom and then needed more room. And that has hardly ever happened. Like I said, the furthest I've ever got is to the bottom. So sometimes, like for example here, we were going to Wales, so I had a list of things to do in the morning. So like get up, brush and floss, get dressed, pack, answer work emails, edit the book, do dishes, remind James to put his Etsy shop on holiday, fill my Decimo with ink, leave. And then here I put a separate list, stuff to pack, because it just made sense to have it all in one space separately, and there was a lot of room. So sometimes I use both columns, or I might occasionally use the 2 columns for, let's see if I have any examples here. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes I'll make a list and then I'll realize that I've actually got more stuff to do that I forgot, like that I left out. Let's see, I can't find any. But so if I have to do, like, say, if I write down all these things and then I'm like, oh, actually, before I do that, it would make sense to do this other thing, then I might put it by the side so that I can see that it's supposed to happen like kind of at the same time as this stuff, so that I don't have to put it at the bottom of the list and then only get to it later. So around the end of September, I started decorating a bit more because I thought, why not? And I have all of these Mambi stickers, which I love, and they seem very appropriate for this because they say things like get stuff done and, let's see, like to do. So I started putting these on. I had been kind of careful beforehand because I was afraid of this becoming like really, really fat and ungainly, but I've only got like another 2.5 months to use it, and it's only the Avec, so it can't really get that bulky, and it's in this traveler's notebook, which is quite forgiving with the elastic, so it's not like it will really get hard to close. So I thought, why not? The only other planner that I put stickers in is my home planner, so I have a lot of stickers and I don't get a lot of opportunities to use them because I don't put stickers in either of these planners. So I thought, like, why not? I'll just put stickers in. So now that I've been using it for a while, I've seen that I definitely have enough space, so it's not a problem if I put some stickers here. It doesn't mean that I'll lose space that I need to write. So that was like kind of one evolution that happened, is I started putting in more stickers, and I also started covering up the timeline sometimes, which is, it's not really essential because the timeline, as you can see here, is pretty unobtrusive, and if you use checkboxes, it's easy to ignore it, so it's not like the timeline really bugs me. But I thought, why not? If I've got like long narrow strips or washi or something, stickers that I'm using up, I might as well cover up the timeline because I don't use it. So another thing that happened right around here, as you can see here, for the first couple of months, I was using this system to check things off, where when I finished something, I would fill in the box. And that was working okay. It was the same thing that I was doing with my personal planner. And then I mentioned this in my personal planner setup. I stopped doing that and started just crossing through, which is what I had always done beforehand and what I do in my work planner. And I kind of felt like that was more satisfying because then it's like the thing is absolutely guaranteed done. Like you can't even see it anymore, and that's very satisfying. So I decided to do the same thing in here so that I would be sort of consistent over all 3 of these planners. So here I just started crossing everything out. And I've been doing that since then. Then another thing that I started doing is at the beginning of October, I decided to start using these monthly pages. So at the beginning of every month, you get a page that says, remember this, and then it has some lines. And when I was using this as my gratitude journal, I used this to put in my like kind of vision for the month, like goals, things that I would like to happen. So I thought, why not use it for that again? It's only once a month. It's not too much pressure to fill it in, and it's just a nice thing. And then, you know, if I see it, it reminds me. So these are all of the things that I've put in as my kind of my main wishes and goals and hopes for the month. And then I've just gone back to kind of crossing things out like this. Sometimes I will put a gap between, so like say these are all things that I had to do in the morning. So get up, brush teeth, get dressed, tea, write something down in work planner. Sometimes I'll take this with me at night. I'll take this with me to bed. Sometimes I take this one as well, but sometimes I leave it in my bag out in the living room. The work planner I don't usually take with me unless I take my whole bag with me, but my bag is kind of heavy, so sometimes I forget and I leave it out. So sometimes I'll use this if I, like before I go to sleep, I remember something that I have to do the next day. I'll write it down in here just because this planner is with me. And then whether it's a work thing or a personal thing, it doesn't matter because I know that I'll be looking at this the next day. So, boys out, go to Starbucks, answer YouTube comments, emails, breakfast, and then get on with editing the book. So editing the book is like a big job, and I'm doing that for hours and hours and hours until the next thing happens. And so sometimes I'll leave a gap so that I can see like quite a bit of time has passed and now I'm on a new sort of to-do list. So I quite like that because, I don't know, it makes it easier to distinguish between like big blocks of time. So I've kind of got a bit carried away with the stickers, but this is something that I like to do on Friday nights, which is my night off. It's fun putting the stickers in and then it, you know, gives me something to look forward to. It looks really nice. When I sort of enjoy looking at it, the spread is nice and colorful and I like it. So these things I actually did, but this was just because it was quite late at night. I just didn't check them off. And then as you can see, occasionally there's a day where I don't use it either because it's Saturday, which is normally my day off. And I love this planner so much that sometimes I do write it in anyway, but there is not very much to do normally on Saturdays because I'm not working and we don't really have like, you know, we don't do things like errands or like household tasks then. So it's really just supposed to be a day where you don't have to do things like plan. And sometimes I don't write in, like I said, if I'm at work all day, then I just have my work planner and then this one in case I have to, you know, like pick up something on the way home, and I don't need to make this kind of list of tasks. So I guess what the daily planner would be used for would really depend a lot on your circumstances. So, you know, if like me, it's somehow really, I find it most useful when I'm at home by myself and have to combine like kind of work and home things. Then I just feel like I can really start to feel like chaotic because there are lots of little bitty types of things that all have to be done. And I guess it's sort of like almost like a sort of brain download, just write everything down, except that it's things that if they're not day-to-day things, they are already written somewhere else. I just like to see them all in one place. And I know it's kind of ironic because I have different planners and I don't like to have everything in the same planner, but just in the form of a to-do list, I think it's really helpful to have everything in the same place. I know that for general planning, it wouldn't work having work and personal together because the things are too different and there wouldn't be enough room in any one planner. And I really like having them separate, and that's where the third planner comes in. So here I had these check boxes, like heart checklists. So I thought, I might as well use them. So I've used them, but I've also crossed the things off because the heart checklists, each heart is bigger than each of the grids here. So there are more things than there are hearts, if that makes sense. And that's up to the current day. I'm actually a day ahead. I'm not sure how that happened. That's really odd. I've somehow started writing on Sunday. It's Saturday night. That's very strange. I've gone into the future. So this is actually tomorrow's spread, but these were all things that I did today. That's very strange. That's never happened to me before. So yeah, I keep this open. I keep the elastic on the present day so I can just open it to it and it's right there. And then as you can see, I've decorated up until the end of October. And I really like this because I can put anything on it. And this is the one place where I can put full box stickers, which I've never actually bought full box stickers, but I have some in like sample kits that I got. And I've never known what to do with them because in my other planners, they're always too big. And I don't, I don't do that kind of decorating like in the Happy Planner or something where you have like a full box to put something in. I've never had a planner like that. So this is quite nice because there's enough space in here that I'm not going to lose any writing space if I put the sticker on, and it's a way to use up the sticker and it looks nice and it's very satisfying. So that you can see there are a whole bunch of Mambi stickers here. I just love the Mambi stickers. So I've done a little bit of the beginning of November as well. So yeah, that's how I'm using this, and it works perfectly for this. I absolutely love it, and it's really satisfying because it had always been something of a conundrum for me beforehand. I think I've mentioned this before. I really liked the idea of the A6 Hobonichi, but I just couldn't get it to work. I tried it as a home planner and that didn't work because I didn't need a day per page. And then I tried it as a personal planner and that didn't work either because I missed having the weekly view. And then I kind of gave up on it and I was like, well, I'm just never going to be able to use the A6. And then I considered again trying it as a personal planner. So I bought one last year along with the weeks, and I decided to use the weeks because that was perfect as a personal planner. And then I used this as a gratitude journal, and it worked for that. It was really good for that as well. But I started to feel a bit overwhelmed having to write, because as I mentioned, because it's got these grids, I like using the grids because it kind of helps to keep my handwriting neater and smaller. And so you can actually fit a lot on this page, even though it's only A6. So I kind of felt like I had to fill it, or I had to fill a lot of it, and that was making me stressed and it was feeling like a burden. So this is just the perfect use for it because it's a planner, and I am much better at planning than at like kind of anything sort of retrospective or introspective. So I'm not good at journaling. I'm not good at tracking. It's like once something has happened, I don't care about it anymore. So this is perfect because it's a planner, which means that it's functional and I only use it when I need to, but that's almost every day. And I find it really, really satisfying. I think if you find that you're like kind of feeling overwhelmed with tasks, and especially if you have lots of different types of things that you have to do in a day, I think it can be really nice just seeing them all written out in a list, because sometimes it actually cheers me up to see that it's not as much as I thought. Like even if I okay, I'm going to write down absolutely everything that I have to do. I'm going to make this giant list of every single thing that I have to do. Then like I'll write it down. It's like, oh, it's not actually that bad. Like this was the whole day, and this included, things like making breakfast, and I've done it all. Sometimes I don't do it all, but whatever. It doesn't matter. That's another thing about this is that I don't need to ever go back and reference anything. Because if it's something that's not a routine task, then I'll put it in here, and I do carry things forward and check. So like I'll migrate something if I haven't got it done. So if I haven't got something done and it's a thing that I still need to do, I'll put it in here for another day. And then the next day I can go back and check. So I won't, kind of copy it onto the next day. It doesn't matter. It's just daily. It's like self-contained daily bubbles, which is very nice because this is something that Dale Carnegie in his book, I think it's called How to Stop Worrying or something like that. But it's a book about how to stop worrying. And he says something really, really useful in that, which is if you want to like kind of conquer worry, you have to live in day-tight compartments. And I think that that's so awesome. It's very, very hard to implement for me anyway. But I think having something like this kind of helps because it's like, there's nothing written in the future. I don't have to worry about what's happening next week. All I have to look at is this list for today. And I find that really helpful. So I hope that you enjoyed this. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll be back again soon with another video because I have tons of different Hobonichi covers that I have to show you, among other things. So I'll be back again soon. Bye.